a lot of people don't feel in this current climate able to point out some of the things that they find not that they're 100% against things that are being perpetuated or even pushed politically, especially through this movement. They don't feel like they can even question stuff. They can talk openly about like for instance, speaking of, there's a very popular sign that people are writing down on their during the protests, or specifically saying white silence is violence. And we have a friend who we spoke to recently who wanted to question that, because in his view, he was like, wait a minute, there's a lot to take in right now. There's a lot going on, and I am 100% behind the movement in terms of pushing against police brutality against black and brown people specifically, but police brutality in general. But there's a lot to take in, and there's a lot in... He was coming from a place where, like, what is the best next step to take? I don't want to talk openly about this until I am 100% kind of more... I guess I'm in a better spot where I understand what I'm saying, and I support it. I don't want to spout something without thinking about it because people are saying it. I want to spout something out and because I believe in it,
right? And
potentially just perpetuate ideas that are just not helpful, or
right.
So, in his view, he was like, I'm not silent. I'm supporting it, but I'm silent in a way where I'm not going to just talk endlessly about it without really getting a handle on what I believe. Is the next best step.
Right.
So it was something that like kind of came clear to me. This is a person that I absolutely 100% respect, and I appreciate their viewpoints, but he felt scared to speak openly about it, even with us.
Right.
When we were really good friends with him, he was very hesitant to bring it up with us, and I felt bad because it's like, that's not how this should be. This should be very, this is the time to start speaking openly about ideas, letting them out into the light so that they can be dissected by everyone, because we're talking about ideas right now
and that's where the mercy comes in.
Right. But the ideas should be dissected and thrown against the wall, see if they stick, kind of thing, and debated. It shouldn't just be like, someone from BLM, for instance, proposes something and everyone must get behind it 100% without questioning it. That's a problem. That's an absolute problem. Even if that idea is perfect and 100% cool and like it'll work, and is going to be awesome and helpful, people should be able to debate and talk about it openly without risk of being canceled or thrown,
ridiculed, ostracized,
thrown out of the fold. Like, that is not that is not the right reaction. As this is the whole thing here is about how you react to things. This whole podcast. So,
because to point it back to another, like, when it comes to, I can really relate a lot of this to my religious experience, but like, that's when you stop thinking. One thing that I know you've heard me say a lot is like, look, you can believe what you want to believe. You can have a frame of mind that you want to have if it's not causing you to hurt anybody. Like, I'm not anti-religion in the sense that, like, I want to convert everybody to no longer believe it. I don't care. Right. Where I take issue is when your beliefs, whatever they are, religious, political, don't care. When your beliefs cause you to stop thinking.
Thinking critically.
Right. Thinking critically. Like, you're not thinking about what you're saying. You're not thinking about what you're doing.
You're just going along with the ride.
Right. Yep. And so having this gatekeeping, so to speak, in these movements where it's like, this is the idea. This is what you repeat. Say this now. Like, and it can't be questioned. You can't have a discussion about it. You can't work through the ideas. No, that's dangerous.
That is dangerous.
Like, that is the beginning of a cult mindset, and I think in my opinion.
That's kind of what started this off for me. In wanting to have this conversation is, the inability to question, the inability to voice concern, the inability to bring up other ideas if you're not black. Or, it's...
Yeah, we have a privilege when it comes to this conversation. We do.
Congratulations. You got one. But that's not how we should look at it.
Right.
It's, obviously this specific issue of police brutality is felt by the black and brown community more so statistically, I guess, in terms of population. But that isn't to
capita,
say that no one, that isn't to say that people can't empathize
Right,
and have ideas and bring up solutions.
And that was another thing he said in that conversation where he's like, I feel like I can't understand their experience. And I'm like, of course you can. This is the entire, like, we're storytellers by trade. I'm like, this is the entire point of storytelling. Like, storytelling doesn't function as a device if you're incapable of understanding and relating to someone who isn't you.
I mean, the whole reason why he attended a protest,
and
the whole reason he went there is obviously because he empathized with the ideas. So he doesn't have the lived experience,
right?
Which
that's fine.
Not everyone's going to have that experience.
No one is going to have my lived experience,
right? But he can empathize with the ideas, and he can watch a video and understand what the hell is going on. You know, so. That's all I had to say about that.
And to me, like, I think that's just a emphasis on the sad state of the lack of conversation, really, that is happening between people who are trying to engage with these ideas, because they actually, like, to me, this is the most dangerous form of the framework that I keep bringing up, is he, well-meaning, trying to be supportive, believed, until we deconstructed it in that conversation, believed that he couldn't understand any part of the black experience because he wasn't black. And I'm kind of like, that, then how do you support them? You can't support, like, you cannot effectively support someone that you can't relate to, that you can't understand. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, he clearly does relate to it.
Right. But he was conditioned to believe that he didn't because of how the rhetoric of all of these things go.
And his opinion is invalid.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just simply not true. And I would vehemently fight against that notion because, again, it's a reaction. It's like, I felt this pain, I felt this suffering. My group feels this pain, my group feels this suffering. You do not. But if you want to help me be bodies, do what we say because we...
But be separate from me.
But be separate.